Well, good morning, everybody. It's wonderful to see all of you here. I just want to offer a few reflections as I finish my second year at Hamilton. About a week ago, I got a call from an alumnus. He wanted to talk to me about an article that had appeared in a major national publication. No, not that one. This was a magazine article that appeared during his time at Hamilton, and the article begins as follows. Many U.S. colleges, troubled by the arguments over technical versus liberal education, straddle the issue by trying to supply enough of both kinds. Hamilton College in Clinton, New York, is untroubled by the conflict. It is unqualifiedly and one-sidedly for the liberal education. A college, insists Hamilton, is not a place to learn vocational skills. It is a place to train a man's mind, awaken his intellectual curiosity, and teach him to judge not only his fellow man, but himself. The article, published in Life magazine, appeared in 1953, which explains its choice of pronouns. The alumnus graduated in 1955, and 63 years later, he had just one request, that Hamilton stay true to its liberal arts mission. We have, and we will. His concern, though, is understandable. After all, liberal arts colleges have declined in number and market share for decades. Once the dominant form of higher education in the United States, liberal arts colleges have lost ground to research universities, community colleges, and pre-professional programs of various kinds. Today, as one study has noted, you can take all of the students studying at liberal arts colleges around the country and fit them into a single Big Ten football stadium. So why preserve this admittedly high-cost model of education? To me, the answer is simple, because it's still the gold standard. As Life magazine noted, citing names like Elihu Root, Alexander Wolcott, and Ezra Pound, the proof is in the graduates. And if you were at commencement 2 weeks ago and you heard our student speakers, then you'll know the proof is still in our graduates. But what makes the Hamilton model so effective? I am reminded of my own first experience in academic administration. I was still a student, well, a law student, and had just assumed the role of editor-in-chief of the Yale Law Journal. In our first week as a new board, we scored a major coup. Two very prominent economists agreed to publish a major antitrust article on economic predation in our first issue. So we assigned the article to a student named Al Sykes, because after all, he was the only member of our board who seemed to know anything at all about economics. Now, I didn't know Al very well, and a few days later I was walking by his office, and this is in the days before computers, before word processors, and I saw him working on the article, and he was literally rewriting it in red ink. So I paused outside his office, and I started up a conversation, and then I said to him, "So Al, don't you think, maybe you want to do that in pencil?" And he said, "No, I think I know what I want to do here." So my heart sank. I went back to my office, and sure enough, a few days later, I got a phone call. It was from the more senior of these two very distinguished economists. He was obviously agitated. He said, "Listen, I've got to talk to you about what your editor did to our article. We can't possibly publish it this way. We can't put our names on this as it is." And I started to stammer out an apology, and I was thinking, wow, I set a record for the shortest tenure of any editor in the history of the journal. And then he went on to say, "He's improved it so much, we have to make him a co-author." It's now as much his article as it is ours, to which I was able to respond with what I thought was becoming nonchalance. "Oh no, you don't have to make him a co-author. That's just a standard edit here at the Journal." What I learned from that experience is how easy it is to take credit for others' work. No, I'm just kidding. What I learned from that experience is how fortunate I was in my colleagues and how much you can do with the right colleagues. And nowhere have I been more fortunate in my colleagues than here at Hamilton. We have a beautiful campus, terrific facilities, a great faculty-student ratio, first-rate student services. But what really makes Hamilton special is the people. the people who study and work here, and the alumni who help us preserve and reinvent Hamilton every day. And this has always been the case. So Life magazine, in that 1953 article, celebrates the close relationship that existed between students and faculty, the small classes and high standards, the extraordinary commitment to teaching, and the lively and absorbing discussions and lectures. And all of that rings true today. The students responded, of course, with deep respect and admiration, which they demonstrated by stabling horses in the classrooms at night, firing projectiles at the faculty from the dormitories, and bestowing names of respect on their professors. Names such as Digger Graves, Bobo Rudd, Shifty Gear, Noah Count, Swampy Marsh, Bouncing Bishop, and my personal favorite, Mumbles Carson. Mumbles, of course, taught public speaking. Well, a lot has changed since 1953. The students in those photos were all male and all white, and so were the faculty. Today, about 25% of our students are students of color, another 7% are international students, and over half are women. We set a new record in applications, as you heard a moment ago. I know I said that last year, but it has the coincidental merit of being true this year also. We went up by 10%, and our admissions rate hit an all-time low of 21%. But the numbers don't tell the real story. How smart, talented, energetic, committed, fun, and yes, challenging in a horse in the classroom sort of way our students can be. But seeing is believing. In just the last 2 weeks of the semester, I watched a production of Hamlet that would make Broadway proud. I listened to one of my international law students perform a 10-minute solo at a brilliant spring orchestra concert. I watched a splendid 3-minute thesis competition, and I joined teams of excited students in a literature class as they presented their virtual reality final projects. I like to call doing things like this work, especially when members of the compensation committee are present. But you can call it Hamilton on any given day, because day in and day out, we provide world-class students with a world-class education. And that matters, because the world needs what our students have to offer. I want to tell you about one of those students. As one faculty member observed earlier this year, this student had a tough life. His father was sent to prison when he was 7, and he struggled, and the family struggled. Angered by it all, he turned away from school and gravitated to the streets. Fortunately, his community never gave up on him. And because they believed in him, his community asked our community to give him a chance. And we did. Here's what happened. He became a writing center tutor, a teaching assistant in the literature and philosophy departments, a student assembly class representative, and a BLSU officer. He founded the Hamilton Philanthropy Committee's Young Civic Leaders Scholarship for local high school students, and he spent his junior year studying at Oxford University. In his senior year, he was elected to Phi Beta Kappa, and he won both a Watson and a Fulbright Fellowship. His name is Marquise Palmer, and he's this year's winner of the Soper Merrill Prize, which is given to the member of the graduating class who, in character and influence, has typified the highest ideals of the college. One faculty member said about Marquise, more than any other student he has taught in his 15 years, Marquise has the greatest chance of changing the world. You can watch his speech to the graduating class on our website. He will inspire you as he has inspired so many of us. This is the power of a Hamilton liberal arts education. So what is that worth? If you ask me, I would say it is priceless. But if you ask Karen Leach, our chief financial officer, she would say it's about $75,000 a year. That means that every student who comes here gets a substantial scholarship, even if the student is getting no financial aid at all. That support, your support, changes lives. Our students are grateful, I'm grateful, our faculty and staff are grateful. Hamilton has been changing lives for 206 years now. So it's true we're a millennium or so behind Oxford and Cambridge, but don't bet against us. So in 63 years or 630 years, when another alumnus tells the new president of the college to stay the liberal arts course, he or she will be able to respond, "We have, and we will." Thank you.